Welcome to PintheQ Productions. If you are interested in the culture of the fire service and keeping tradition alive, you have come to the right place. Now sit back and relax with your brothers and sisters and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to PintheQ Productions, PintheQ Podcast. We are in South Carolina in Goose Creek, and with me is the chief of the department who has a history in Portland, Maine, which we're excited to learn about that a little bit. So before we go any further, Chief, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
I appreciate coming on.
I appreciate you coming in and interviewing me.
It's good. I mean, we got to look around the firehouse. It's a beautiful firehouse. Station 1.
Yep, Station 1. I inherited this thing.
It's
not
gorgeous.
what I'm used to back in the Northeast, not your typical Northeastern older firehouse. But yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, the amenities are amazing. First of all, the kitchen. That's like something out of Bobby Flay restaurant.
Well, it's one of those things where you got a little bit of everything. You got the gourmet firehouse kitchen, and then you got how about the little entertainment center with the theater seating. Yeah,
it's really cool. I mean, you guys definitely take care of your people here, which is evident.
Yeah, I inherited it. So.
It's good stuff. So, Chief, you have a little bit of a different journey, and what I mean by that is, coming from Portland, Maine to here, that's quite an adjustment. But before we go even further, let's go back down memory a little bit and tell me, first and foremost, what was it like for you as a young up and coming firefighter? Where'd you start?
Well, I started off my dad, my pops. He was a huge fire buff. He grew up in the city, and I don't know, man. People chased fire trucks back then.
Yeah.
So when I remember being 4 years old, going to a job with my dad. I thought everybody in the world chased fires. So literally, as a young guy, I knew I wanted to be a fireman. And then in 1980, I remember being I was 9, and a cousin, Joe Cavallero, died on the job. And I just remember the effect, even though he was a distant cousin, I didn't really know the guy that well, but it was kind of over the top of me that hey, you remember your cousin Joey died on the job, my Italian aunts and stuff, and my mom. And I just remember my mom going to his funeral and seeing it on TV. It had a profound effect on me, even though we certainly weren't close. I barely knew the guy, but going on the job where he had passed away from had an impact. I think you can only get from having that experience as a young guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was a horrible fire, vacant church that was made into a discotheque that was completely vacant. He was on the first due engine company on engine 1, and they were stretching a hose line into the front, slate roof, tight building. And, I even talked to guys because I worked with them on my career when I got hired. Just an awful scene. He didn't stand a chance. The place backdraft. It sucked him in, blew the rest of the guys out.
Oh, man.
So I knew the job was deadly serious from when I started to get involved in the call company, which is basically like a volunteer fire company in my hometown. And just loved the fire department, man. I dug it as a kid, just having respect for it, but then actually doing it and getting a taste of it. And then I traveled everywhere, man. I just wanted to be a fireman.
Right.
And I'm sure you remember back to the early 90s, tax caps, hiring freezes all over the Northeast. So I applied everywhere and ended up getting hired in my hometown, which was great. I got hired with a group of 19 guys.
That's
Our
awesome.
anniversary actually is coming up.
That's awesome.
For 26 years of those guys, May 1st. But it was great getting hired in such a big group of guys. And, I learned quickly on the job that you keep your mouth shut, do your job. I had some experience coming in. It's great to have that experience and bring it in to do the job. So when it comes time to stretch the hose, get to the roof or do the search or do whatever, you do it right. And they're like, yep, my training here from Portland helped me get that,
Do you think having that experience with your cousin passing away so early on in your lifetime. Do you think that had some effect on you as far as your direction in the fire service?
Yeah, I think, it just hit home to me that it was just like a deadly serious job. It's not make believe. That stuff happens to people. No one expects to come to work and, he was a young guy. He had 2 kids and a wife. I mean, no one expects to come to work and have that happen to him.
Right.
And just kind of just having my dad always in the background being a fan. It was like, most dads, out there are like, yep, I want my kid to be, famous, not famous,
a doctor or something.
Doctor, a lawyer, baseball player or whatever. My father couldn't have been more proud the day I got my badge pinned on me in the city, the city that he grew up in,
That's
my
awesome.
mom grew up in. So
Welcome back to when you first got your badge pinned on. I mean, walk me through that moment for you. What was it like?
Oh man, just getting the phone call and I got hired was just like winning the lottery.
Right.
I mean, literally, to that point, the best thing ever happened in my life. I could probably have walked across water at that point, or I was definitely levitating. I'll tell you that.
It's so funny you say that, Chief. I've talked to so many like-minded brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're in Goose Creek, South Carolina, or New Jersey, or wherever, everyone says the same thing. And that's what they equate it to. It's like winning the lottery.
And if honestly, I can tell you, if somebody's listening to this podcast and is not feeling that way, then maybe you want to get a different job.
Absolutely. Because
you're either all in or you're not into this job. It's not just a job. It's definitely, it's everything to me. My brother and I are definitely like family to me, and just you're robbing yourself, and robbing somebody else from a job.
Yeah,
if you're here not feeling that way.
I was just literally going to say that, Chief. Like, if you don't want this job, it's okay because there's 100 guys behind you or girls that want it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the people that I want to work with.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I've talked to some guys and girls like, yeah, it's a good career. It's good benefits, it's good pension, but it's more than that. I mean, for me anyway, and most of the people in my circle like you, it's way more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I graduated recruit class, which was very primitive at the time, we it wasn't like it is nowadays with, they do all kinds of different training other than just basic firefighting.
Right.
When I had my first day actually going on shift, I couldn't sleep that night. I was super excited.
Yeah.
I think I got to the station I don't know, shift change is supposed to be 8. I think I got there 6 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
Yeah. I couldn't wait. Guys are still sleeping, I just couldn't wait to get on the truck and do the job.
Talk to us a little bit about, often on this show, I love to talk about that kitchen table and what it means. Bring me back to your first experience at the kitchen table as a firefighter, career firefighter.
Oh, geez. It probably goes back to, we would have a lot of our recruit training was at Bramhall Fire Station, which is on the west side of the city, downtown. And a lot of tough firemen have come through that firehouse, man. And, we would go up and eat dinner with them or lunch with them. And, you go up there and, it'd be like springs and things, and they're charging like $5 a guy or something for 19 guys.
Right.
But you just are like, all right,
yeah.
I get it. They're supplying the kitty.
Right.
But, just don't want to screw up. Don't want to be that guy, so you keep your head down. And everybody, especially on Platoon 1, we used to call them the Gold Cokes. Those guys were the jackals of all jackals. So, and I knew a lot of these guys because I had friends that were on the job before me.
Right.
And so they all knew me. They were all looking to gun for me for the least little thing that goes wrong. So I'm just, okay, don't, man. I'm going to go up. I'm literally just going to go get a glass. I'm not even paying attention to anybody, not making eye contact. They got a whole table separate for us away from the regular guys. And dude, I can feel the glass slip out of my damn hand.
Oh no.
Smash on the ground. And it was like a bunch of Marine Corps drill sergeants, and nothing. I've never been in the Marines, but I can only imagine. They're on me, jackling the hell out of me, and it's great because after we got done class for the day, the guy's like, "I'm so glad it was you,
and not me." Yeah. But yeah, I took one for the team for you.
But it's the firehouse banter around the dinner table, and I know There's a million and one things on Facebook about people talking about it being the great equalizer, but it really is, man.
It is.
You know, I grew up in an Italian family on my mom's side, as well as, you know, you grew up in an Italian family, and everything that happened around the kitchen or the dinner table.
It's 100% correct.
Yeah, and the same thing with us, man, in the fire service. And I don't care if you're in some small department out there, or you work in a medium-sized department where I came from, or you come from a big city, you know. It's the dinner time. You know, it's sitting around the table. And I miss that the most, I think, about being as an administrator, being a chief. That's why I try to, you know, get out on the floor with the guys and go have lunch with them. And I'll bust chops, man. They look at me kind of funny, but I'm still a fireman, you know.
Honestly, I was going to mention before you even said that I saw you in the kitchen with the guys, and that's huge. I mean, it really is huge, because they appreciate that. They might not say it, but I'm telling you, in the back of their mind, I'm like, man, the chief's breaking bread with us. You know, one of my greatest friends, he is a battalion chief in Jersey City. His name is Richie Gorman. I mean, he's the salt of the earth. And he says to me, when it doesn't matter if a white shirt or not, when I'm in that kitchen and I'm at the kitchen table,
yes,
it's all free game. Like, you know?
Yeah, when I drop gloves, the gloves come off. I am good with it, you know. I'm not one of those guys you're going to, you know, the guy that bully in school.
Right,
He's only a
right.
bully because he had 6 other guys around him to stick up for him. No, man, if I drop gloves, you drop gloves too. It's all good, you know.
That's great, Chief.
The Shark Tank.
Yeah, the Shark Tank. So back in Portland, tell me, what was your greatest experience in Portland? Was it being promoted, or was it something else?
I just, you know, just honestly, I had a great ride. I had an awesome ride, you know. The ups and downs of it, you know, bad fires, you know, guys getting sick on the job, occupational cancer. I had cancer myself. That was probably...
No kidding, Chief.
That was difficult. You know, I had I had stage 3B melanoma. And it's one of those things you never expect that you're going to get told you have cancer. And if it wasn't for the guys and gals on the job, I don't know how me and my family would have made it through it. You know, it was just tough. It was mentally draining, physically draining. I ended up having 2 surgeries. I had a month of high-dose chemo.
Wow.
And 11 months of maintenance chemo. And they told me I wasn't, they couldn't even tell me if I was going to be okay, which sucks.
Yeah, it's scary.
But then they said at least I wouldn't be back to work for over a year. 5.5 months I got back.
Good for you.
But the thing that got me back was the guys and gals on the job. I mean, people were signing up to drive me to chemo when I was doing my high dose.
That's the part of the fire service that I preach about all the time. That's the part the public doesn't see. It's that, you know, that's the brotherhood.
Because, man, you know, and I guess I kind of hid it a little bit, but I was super ridden with anxiety. I had young kids, newly married to my second wife, and it was just tough. And if it wasn't for them coming to the house, bringing meals, breaking bread, even though I didn't want to eat, my family benefited from it. I benefited from it. And then it got to a point where when I got healthy enough, I'd drive to the firehouse to have lunch when my crews were on shift.
That's so awesome.
And I tell you, it was weird. Like, I would be like at home, you know, feeling totally anxious, beside myself, second guessing what's going to happen in life.
Right.
I would walk through that firehouse door and smell the smell of the firehouse, which I don't care if you're in New Jersey, Portland, Maine, Boston, or any of the cities.
Yeah.
The firehouses all smell the same. The kitchens smell the same.
Yep.
And it was like all my cares went away.
Right.
You know?
You home.
Yep, absolutely. So
that's incredible story, Chief. I didn't even know that. That's incredible.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is too is
God bless, by the way.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And it's been my passion to kind of get out there and just kind of get the message across that cancer's real. Take it serious. You know, I love the fire service. You know, guys will tell you I'm not chicken about being aggressive. You know, but you got to take care of yourself. You got to find the balance, because I bought into this. You know, you go into a fire, you don't need to wear an air pack. You certainly don't need to wear a hood. You know, go in there with your collar flap open, all that stuff, you know, be a big city fireman.
When I first started, we used to use our Nomex outside, so I knew if my ear was getting melted, I knew it was time to get out.
Yeah, no, I was actually, our union actually at one point had it so they couldn't make us wear hoods in Portland, you know, and I understand at the time the education wasn't out there.
Culture, too. It was a totally different culture.
Totally get it, you know, and they were doing it for what they thought were the right reasons. So you don't get too deep, you don't get, you know,
get lost, right?
Get burned up. I totally get it. But we know better now. Our gear is better than ever now. You can be the best friggin' big city fireman, man. Be a hard ass and still protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Because in the end of the day, what you need to remember is the times that you're not doing that, you're letting your families down. The guys that have kids, your wife, your girlfriend, your mom and dad, whoever you have at home.
Yeah, they're waiting on you. They're depending on you. I mean, listen, I'm the kind of guy where I've always had this notion or this mantra that, like, yeah, I may die in a fire. That may be what happens. I mean, I know what I'm signing up for. I know it's a dangerous occupation. It's not for delay of heart. But if I can wash my helmet after a job, or if I can wash my turnout coat and it gets me another day without cancer, I'm going to do that. Times definitely changed because, when we came up, we didn't worry about that.
No, we didn't have
your dirty helmet was it was a sign of pride.
And the thing is, what I try to tell people now too is like, the whole thing about being salty.
Right.
And I try to tell them, salty's not how much shit you have on your helmet and on your turnout gear. Salt is in your heart, man. You're salty there. It doesn't matter what you have on the outside. If you're not salty in your heart, then you're not that great of a fireman.
This right here is the lesson I'm trying to tell all these young firefighters. When you're listening right now, you're watching, this is what we're talking about. And it's true because, yes, everybody wants their lid dirty. Everybody wants their gear dirty, and it shows their salt and experience. But you're absolutely right. If we can prevent, with the knowledge and education we have now, and you're living proof, and you survived cancer. So to hear it from you is much better than hearing it from a commercial or from me or anyone else.
Yeah, and like the city of Boston did a great job with the cancer preventive program. I had a little bit of the beginning of that through the Firefighter Cancer Support Network, which is great. This guy, Russ Osgood, is part of the program from New Hampshire. He's a lieutenant on the job up there. He took the lion's share of it, but they actually had us go through and start their cancer awareness classes.
Oh, that's awesome.
They rotate companies, and I had a very small part of that. But, they've done a great job. And if a department like that is, that's reek with history and tradition.
Absolutely,
if they can make changes, any department can make changes.
So, Chief, do you go out and talk about cancer prevention to firefighters, or are you involved in any way with that?
Yeah, I was the director for the Maine Firefighter Cancer Support Network.
That's great.
So I did a bunch of teaching up there. And, in Portland, every recruit class, they get that, like, within the first or second day. So as they're doing their drills and stuff, they're putting their gear on with purpose. When I started here, January we had a Firefighter Cancer Awareness Month. So I taught just rotating crews in for each one of the shifts. Was
it difficult for you to relive that at the beginning when you started to talk about it?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Frank. Yeah, the very beginning, it was my first time. I was asked to teach at a county chiefs meeting, and I can't remember which county it was in Maine. It doesn't matter, but I just remember at the end of it, just feeling just completely like spent,
right? Mentally drained.
Yeah, because you can't go through that without having it have some effect on you.
Absolutely,
we're human, right?
Absolutely, and I think you having those firefighters, your brothers and sisters at your side throughout this process is 100% how you got through it.
Absolutely. If it was honestly, if it wasn't for them, my wife will attest to it. We would have had a very difficult time. It's a lonely place.
Absolutely. I think about guys that I've known on the job that tore their ACL, and they're out of work for 5 months, 4 months, and they're depressed, literally depressed, because they don't know what they're doing, and they can't find their way back to work. And so to think about Jesus would have almost a life sentence. That's scary, and figuring out how you're going to get back.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, Frank. It doesn't have to be cancer.
Right.
It could be anything. That's part of this job that's great. Is like when you're doing this job and actually in on the job, you take care of each other like family.
Oh, absolutely.
And like we talked before the camera, it's like you and I've been bantering back and forth for what, maybe
it's been fun.
Maybe like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And we honest, we seem like we've known each other
absolutely,
for a long time.
yeah.
And that's the fire service as a whole.
Yeah, I've been so fortunate to meet such wonderful people like yourself, Chief, and getting to sit down and talk about the fire service is so fun. And I think for me, it revitalizes me a little bit, because everyone gets in that little bit of funk. But meeting guys like you and other individuals, it definitely gets you back involved in the fire service and makes you realize how great it is, and how, you're from Portland and now Goose Creek, but we think the same.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. And that's why, too, you always like, you know, I did a lot of special operations courses and classes, you know, like everybody's done with,
Right.
you know, and it's always great to go away because you get a bunch of like-minded individuals
Oh,
together. Yeah. And I always would say, wouldn't it be great if you can just build a dream team, you know?
Yeah, like a baseball team.
The same group of guys, you know, and gals that want to do the job, you know, and it's funny too, because like I've seen the gamut, you know, where I come from, you know, take a civil service test to get hired.
Right.
And some of the best firemen I've ever worked with are guys that have just worked a construction site, working hard for their family. They don't have benefits. They knew somebody that was on the job, and they're like, seems like a noble job. I'll try it out.
Absolutely, yeah.
Some of those guys were the best firemen I ever worked with.
I'm telling you, I've talked to rescue captains, and they say they handpick their guys on rescue because they're seeing them on the fire ground, engine company, ladder company, and they're just watching guys on the fire ground. Who's the first one to pick up a saw? Who's the first one to figure out a problem? You know, who's the one going to the toolbox? Those are the guys that are handpicking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a little biased towards the rescue on this. I won't lie to you. But you guys didn't hear this here at Goose Creek. Everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. Back in Portland, everybody knows.
But that's what's true. Would you agree with that statement?
No, absolutely. Yeah. You know, the thing is, you know, like I said, some people dress for the dance, but they don't dance.
Yep.
You know, and
God, I love it. That's a great analogy.
my wife says I'm the king of analogies.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. I might actually steal that one, Chief. That's
feel free. It's not trademarked, except I'm trademarking it now on camera.
I can't use it.
Let's do stickers.
Yeah, like decals. But no, that's a good point. I mean, you can look the part, but can you do it?
Yeah, some of those guys, you know, they're usually the guys that end up getting the business in the end, though, from the firemen that really want to do the job.
Nowadays, it's really difficult to hide. You know,
Yes.
It's really difficult. Years ago, you could tell a story somewhere and nobody knows, but now it's easy to you can get vetted pretty easy now.
I got to tell you, for those guys in the future that want to, like, you know, live the American dream like I am, like, you know, retiring and then coming down to the beautiful South, you know, to work, you don't want to be that guy because it'll follow you around.
Oh, absolutely. Your reputation's everything.
Yeah, be the stand-up guy, you know, and stuff I talk about a lot with some of the people down here too is like the fire service has changed a little bit, but the fire service itself hasn't.
Right.
You know, you guys have got to get on board, man.
Oh, absolutely. The times are changing.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So, Chief, you have this amazing career in Portland, and you make chief.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about that. That was a huge accomplishment.
My goodness, man. It was I'm glad it happened. Like, it didn't happen quick for me to get down here, but I'm glad I was super busy at that. I had a 3-month window by the time they offered me the job down here in Goose Creek to the time I retired. And my goodness, you know, you can't, I don't even know how to put it in words. You can say you're ready to get done with an organization, you know, but as much passion and zeal.
Like, how do you close that door behind you?
I mean, I bled the PFD. It's ridiculous. My wife will tell you. My friends will tell you. And it kind of hit me like I had my uniform on. I'm going to work my last day, and I'm thinking,
oh, man, it must be so surreal.
Dude, I'm like, holy crap, I'm not going to be on the PFD anymore. You know,
and how many years were you there, Chief?
I was there 25 and a half.
Wow.
Yep.
And how many is Chief?
Jeez. You had to ask me. Like,
it's okay.
I think it was about 3.5.
Still.
Yeah, not chief of the department. I was deputy chief.
Deputy chief. Yeah, that's huge. But, I mean, you're still chief. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're chief of the department.
Yeah, I don't want to take credit
chief,
for being chief.
Yeah.
No, but it was a great job there. And my last 3 months, the guys, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. If you look on Facebook, you would have thought I was like the pontiff, the president, I don't know, some sort of CEO of Google or whatever.
Mean, Chief, take a look at this. I mean, this is an incredible piece of art. Yeah. I call it a piece of art. I mean,
shout out to Stevie Pellerin. I don't know if he listens to these sort of things or not, but my goodness, I love the guy. Retired fireman, talented. Not everybody gets an axe. The poor guy, when I got it, the chief presented it to me. He's in the corner crying. Love the guy.
And I mean, what you can't see on camera, but I'll take a photograph for everyone later, is everyone on the back, all these, take care, Chief, God bless. I mean, there's so many great little sayings on here. It's just great. And this is the type of thing that you can't pay for.
No. It's, you go to an award ceremony, they put a fish and lure on you, big deal. You know what I mean? Honestly, in the end of the day, I think most real firemen will tell you that. you know, some awards committee decides that you should get that.
Right.
We're just doing the job. It's the stuff they did the last, you know, geez, like I said, the last 3 months. You know, people are taking pictures of me, with me on the fire ground. We hit some work too, which was good.
Oh, that's always a good way out.
Got to bang a second on the second to last day, which was
That's
good.
beautiful.
Yeah, guys are thinking that I was pushing the hook a little bit too quick, but no, guys, you push it quickly.
Right. That's awesome.
No, but it literally, I got to tell you the story. So
No, please, yeah, I love the stories.
So the morning comes that I'm leaving. I'm just.
This is your
like,
last day.
This is it. This is it. Like,
Okay.
shift changes happening in the
man.
morning. The deputy's relieving me. He comes in early like he normally does, and we're going to be going and having brunch, if you know what I mean.
Right.
At the local establishment that one of the guys on the job, his sister owns. And I'm in my head, I'm just dreading the moment of leaving.
Right.
You know, I am.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually overwhelming.
Sounds it.
So I'm making banter with the guys, and then all of a sudden they do this like radio thing where you're like, everyone's calling on the radio to me, and I wasn't expecting that. Guys are
Right.
like crying on the radio. I'm like trying, just, you know, making jokes, doing what I do. And then the thing that got me the most was I'm like expecting that I got to be at this restaurant at like 8:30.
Right.
So Chad, the deputy chief's like, hey, bud, he's hanging around, and he's like, hey, bud, you got to get going. I go, dude, I don't have to be over to the restaurant till 8:30. He goes, no, they got something planned for you. I go, what else do they got planned, you know? So I go grab my stuff. I literally basically almost run out of the station. On the front ramp, there's 4 cop cars, not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 cop cars. The heavy rescues out there, all their lights are going.
Oh, man.
They
What a send-off.
They put me in the deputy chief's car. We're going through downtown Portland. They're blocking off roads. Like, I'm like, I looked at Chad.
Like you're president.
Yeah, I did. I said, Chad, I go, they didn't know I didn't become president, right? He's laughing his ass off. Then I get over there. I get out, and we go in. We're ordering, beverages,
Right.
and food, and all of a sudden I hear bagpipes. My buddy,
Man, they did you right.
My buddy Paulie comes in bagpiping, and that's when I obviously cry.
Oh, yeah. Listen, if you don't get emotional after that, that's an amazing.
I kept
send-off.
it together till the bagpipes. Damn you, Paulie!
Yeah.
Damn you!
Bagpipes, they get me too. Every time.
Yes.
Yeah. What an amazing send off. But you know what, Chief? That just tells me your career with the Portland Fire Department. It's very obvious that they loved you, because they don't do that for everybody. You know that.
Yeah.
Some guys they just wave at you.
It was a little too much. Yeah. Sometimes they wave the one finger.
Right.
No, because I was joking with the guys. I go, yeah, we're going to have my retirement party in a telephone booth, And that was tough, too, like I told you, Frank,
Yeah.
I feel bad for everybody out there that's maybe retiring this year or retired this past year, because I know for me, we wanted to have a big retirement party, not for the fact of me. It was the fact of all the retired guys that worked before me, that I worked with, to come and just break bread,
talk,
and have a moment before I headed south, and we didn't have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Well, you can always, when all the stuff loosens up, we can do that. I know Yonkers, there's a great establishment there, and a lot of FDNY guys get together once a year, and they just do that. They just talk, man.
Yeah,
They have lunch.
We have a club that I joined called the Who Club. So, the president of the Who Club gives you a shirt that says Who, who the
Right.
are you?
That's
you know
funny.
what I mean?
That's so funny.
Insert swear here.
Yeah, it's great. That is so great. So, man, what an amazing career in Portland. And then how'd you end up here, Chief? How did this all happen? Because you were up against quite a few people here. This was not an easy feat.
I was told there was 104 people. So
out of 104 applicants, you're it. Talk to me about that.
I don't know. I guess they wanted the deaf, dumb, and blind man. Well, yeah, my wife and I, we had kind of a plan in our head that at least get our youngest, my stepson out of school. He had 2 years left in high school. And then I knew this job was coming open here. And we were kind of looking at coming south. Guys.
Yeah, it's so nice here.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
Who wants to live?
Yeah, I don't want to go back.
Yeah, who wants to go shovel snow?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and then I applied, and it was one of those things where, like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Say a prayer, and if the God's willing that this is what it's going to be, it'll work out. And one step at a time. I couldn't believe it each step. My first, you know, they went through all the applications, and then I got a phone call and a phone interview. Then I had to come down and had an interview with the city administrator, and then they invited me back down.
Always a good
for
sign.
an interview with the mayor, and then they offered me the job. And then I was like, it was kind of a whirlwind of events.
Yeah. Now, before you got hired at the fire department, did you meet anybody at the actual fire department itself?
Yeah, like the assistant chief, I actually had met years ago
Okay.
down at Anniston, you know, doing the WMD course down there.
Oh, cool.
And so, you know how it is. You meet guys from all
Oh,
over the
all over
country.
the place, yeah, yeah.
And you end up, you know, keeping in contact, and when stuff's going on,
Right.
you know, you kind of, whether it's COVID or some sort of hazmat thing or something, you kind of throw things out to see how other guys are doing it. And I knew him, you know, and could ask questions about the job, and you know, it seemed like a right fit because I didn't want to retire. I
Right.
didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I wanted to come here and actually do good work. And you know, unfortunately, back home in Portland, you know, the city's not very friendly to not the citizens as much as, you know, City Hall. You know, we've cut 2 engine companies in the last probably 7 years now.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, and just
Yeah, you hate to see that. Man.
yeah, and budget-wise, it's not good. And
Right.
It's just tough. And then down here, rapid growth. We're going to be adding a 4th station. You know, probably be in it within 2 years, breaking ground by
It's amazing.
next year. Yeah,
So you're really coming in at a great time.
yeah, man, we're building.
With your
good things here.
experience, it's a great win for the city here.
Yeah, you know, it's thank you, but it's just want to do good things here. I want to build some traditions that the guys and gals want here. I think, you know, and we want to be a fire department, you know,
Yeah.
that does good fire and EMS work. And you know, we've got a good core talented group here. We want to keep guys here. You know, one thing about it seems like this area of the country, because of the growth, that you kind of break in at the seams. So you get people coming in from all over the country to come to get jobs here, and some of them go back. So you get kind of a transient population,
Right.
which is tough because if you're trying to build traditions, you're trying to build camaraderie. It's hard to do that when you have a kind of a revolving door of people coming in and going out. And I just want to stop that, man.
So you want to keep. So would you say one of your focuses is retention?
Oh, totally. That's
Yeah.
one of my first and foremost things that I need to happen here is
Yeah, because retention is
people.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to build great traditions here. I want to build the camaraderie, you know, even more than it is here now. So, you know, people are going to want to come to work here
Right.
and do good work.
Honestly, I'm not just saying this because you're here and you're chief, but I walk around and I see that. I mean, it seems to me that everyone here is pretty happy. A lot of happy faces. So
Thanks, I paid you very well to say that.
it was like
Frank.
$1. It was like $1.
I gave you an espresso.
Yeah, but it's true though. I mean, you can see because again, I've been all over, so you can tell. Guys seem generally happy here, which is a good thing, and it's not easy for you to start in a totally different culture.
Oh no, I love the fire service. So I came in, and I'm kind of a knucklehead, man. I don't feel like I'm any better than anybody else. I'm just stupid enough to raise my hand and take responsibility for all of you, all you y'alls they say down here.
Y'all.
Stuff, but honestly, I put my pants on the same way.
Right.
You gotta. It's like a soldier, right? You gotta be willing to fight. And,
Yeah, lead from the front.
yeah, my body's certainly not like it was when I was in my 20s, but my mind is. So I guess
Right.
that keeps me at least aggressive at the dinner table, right, guys?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, listen, I think what is happening here is phenomenal. This is a really good fire department. Super squared away, super clean, great equipment out on the floor.
Yeah.
So things are definitely progressing. It looks great.
Yeah, when you go in, what's a good sign is when you go and look at the back step on the engine one out there. That'll tell you everything right there.
Yeah, it is really nice. So as a new chief here, I know obviously we can't talk about a ton of history with Goose Creek because you're new here. So let's talk a little bit about what would be in your mind. What's a 5-year plan for you in the city?
Well, obviously, we're going to be adding the 4th station. It's paramount. We need that up there in the Carnes area. The response time from Engine 3's quarters is way too long. There's a lot of development and growth going on there. Same thing, any fire chief will be like, yep, I know what you're talking about. The apparatus replacement program. We need to replace some apparatus. So one good thing is down here that we're not used to, Frank, is no salt on the roads.
Right.
So the frames and stuff last, but the trucks still get old.
Right.
So we're
Still
looking
engine
at-
hours.
Yeah, we're looking at a replacement program. Just recruitment, retention. I mean, there's a bunch of different stuff. Standard operating guidelines that that are there, that are, obviously it's a guidelines, so it's flexible, that makes sense.
Right.
Get rid of rules that are outdated, that mean nothing, that are in a book just to be in the book, and let's make some sense and have some guidance. And, I want to challenge everybody from myself all the way down and then back up again to be better at their jobs. I want to be better at my job. I have high expectations of my assistant chief and my battalion chiefs. We're looking at a little bit of restructuring, when it comes to how we do EMS and how we do fire. And just in the end of the day, I want people to feel rewarded and challenged by being here. And, one thing that's good too is, I reached out to North Charleston, to the chief there, and, we're going to be doing some mutual aid with them.
Oh, that's great.
Which is good.
That definitely builds morale.
Guys like catching work.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And our rescue's going to be going over to the north part of North Charleston.
Cool.
And I want to not just have it be just single engine company responses or rescue company responses. I want to start working with our neighbors. So instead of just seeing the chief in a meeting, like, he knows me, I know him.
Right.
He's down here. I don't know if you guys notice, there's hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
There's weather events. There's things that go on that we need to work together as a team. Like Chief Nixon, which, believe it or not, is my last name with an M.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Mike Mixon, not Mike Nixon.
Oh, that is funny.
From Mount Pleasant, he's been great. All these chiefs have reached out in one form or another, and just working with these guys and getting to know them. It's and working our department into the needs of Berkeley County, which is rapidly growing.
And Berkeley, if I understand right, is the biggest county in South Carolina. Is that true?
Yeah, I believe so. Don't quote me if I'm wrong.
I know. I was told it was the biggest county in South Carolina.
Somebody said it's like the size of Rhode Island. I believe it because I drove part of it. It's interesting out there. But it's growing rapidly, and the needs for Berkeley County are going to grow as well. And we're the biggest city all in Berkeley County. Like Somerville, I think, is a little bit bigger of a city than us, but they're mostly in Dorchester County.
Right.
But I've been meeting with like Will from Berkeley County EMA, they call it EMD down here, and Ben, and we want to get more involved with that stuff because we have resources that, first of all, the guys and gals want to go to work.
Right.
And we have the resources that we can kind of throw at some of these emergencies. And you know what? One chief told me a long time ago, it was a chief from Massport at Logan Airport. They started getting involved at that point with the Metro Fire Plan, so it's their mutual aid pact. And I learned a lot from his short conversation I had with this guy. He's like, we don't catch a lot of work, obviously, at Massport. Planes are not crashing at Logan Airport.
Yeah, car fires and stuff.
So, but it was beneficial to send his companies out, the engine and the tower unit, to go to fires in the Metro Fire, because that way they get experience, real life experience.
And they're bringing it back to the airport.
Yep, and the same thing for us, and the other thing too is we have emergencies here in the city. We're going to have to rely on our mutual aid partners.
Absolutely, yeah.
So better to get to know each other sooner than later.
I love the fact that you want to come out of the sandbox a little bit, and that's another big culture change in the fire department from what we're used to. Everyone kind of wants to stay in their own sandbox, so it's really difficult.
I learned that lesson a long time ago,
Yeah.
Frank. Back home when I was involved in special operations, and the first time I had to go to a meeting up at the state in Maine Emergency Management, you're in there with chiefs and stuff from all kinds of other agencies, and no one wanted to work with Portland because we were a bunch of asses. You got to break the barriers down, man.
Right.
And like I tell,
a lot of those walls are built up before us. Though,
oh no, totally.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if it was macho bravado or whatever, but one of the things that I've told my officers out on the floor is like, listen, my expectations from you, if we go to a neighboring town to help out, you're there to help.
Right.
Be a gentleman, be a lady, go up, say, hey, I'm here from the city of Goose Creek. I'm here to help you. What can I help? What can I do for you?
Right.
Because that's the way I roll.
The best way, yeah. If you approach it that way, usually, guys and girls are more apt to receive that help.
Yeah, be a gentleman, And the same thing, like, back home in Maine, we're a medium-sized fish, right, in a small tank. So we would have people that would come to the firehouse that were from, like, these little small teeny towns that I've never even heard of. But you know what? Be a gentleman when they come over. Don't treat them treat them with respect. These are fellow firefighters. They may volunteer from their town or whatever, but they don't have the same opportunities you do. Make a lasting impact on these people.
I'll tell you what, Chief, I'm glad you mentioned that because I'll share just a quick story, and that is I stopped at 3 fire departments in Somerville all 3 stations, open arms, I mean, just exchanging patches and telling stories and tons of enthusiasm. They don't know me from anybody walking off the street. Same thing here. Both these stations, I mean, it's so nice. That whole Southern comfort thing is real. I feel like that Southern hospitality is real because, some parts of the states, you don't get that.
Yeah, but even in New York City, I'll tell you a short story, bro, and had a lasting impact on me. I was a young guy. Like I said, I was testing everywhere, and I was taking the test in New York City. I think it was 92, and anybody that took the test in 92, I think it was exam 0084 maybe. It was the longest list in city's history, I think, because
Wow.
all kinds of lawsuits and things that
right.
happen. But I was going down there for the written exam, and I'm a kid from Maine. Been in the city a couple of times, but when you're in the subway and you pop out, you don't know up from down, left from right, and it's freaking raining out.
It's a maze.
And I'm with my buddy Eddie and Jeff. Eddie's actually a deputy chief in Chelsea, Mass.
Very cool.
Another good department if you ever
cool.
want to go up there and interview those guys. So we're we don't know where we're going. We're trying to find the Miriam Bertrand High School, which is down in the Seaport, trying to figure out where that thing's at. So in the morning we're not stressed. Right. And I look over and there's a firehouse. So I'm like, let's ring the bell. You feel a little awkward, you know what I mean? So I ring the buzzer, and first thing the guy said, we're starting to ask for direction. He goes, no, guys, come in out of the rain. So we go in and explain to him what we're trying to do and that we're trying to look for the school. And before he even said anything about directions, he goes, did you guys eat?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, I was in there for 2 minutes.
Right.
I'm from so these guys, they probably think I have moose and deer, which I didn't, in my backyard, And, they literally, the engine was going out to grab the meal. They wouldn't let us leave.
That's awesome.
And we ended up eating with the guys, and you try to do the right thing by getting up, cleaning the table off, and also they wouldn't hear of it. They're basically saying you're insulting us.
Right.
The guys
it's their house, right?
literally were like, you're our guest. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm your guest now. If I get this job, I'm going to be just a probie,
Oh, man, it's so funny.
And
what a great experience, though.
But you know what I mean? And that's the whole thing. That sums it up in a nutshell. Here I am in the Big Apple, the kind of an A ticket, you know what I mean, for the fire service. If they can treat people that they have never met,
right?
When they're the pro baseball team of all pro baseball teams, then any of these departments, like where I'm working now, be a gentleman, be
Absolutely.
a lady.
What a great lesson. Yeah, just be human.
And this guy probably, I'm sure he's forgot about me after I left.
Right.
But
now look at you. It's crazy.
Yeah, now I'm an old dude. I still remember the stories, kind of. I'll be screaming them out in the nursing home.
It's funny because as a kid, I was 18 years old, walking past Engine 55, and I was a volunteer fireman, a young kid, real impressionable, really into it. I started when I was 14 as a junior fireman, explorer. So I walk past, I look in, and there happened to be a guy in the galley. He's like, "Oh, come on in." I'm like, "You sure?" He's like, "Yeah, come in." And he let me.
You could
look
sense
at the
a
truck.
paisan from a long ways away.
Yeah, he could tell. I had an afro back then too, but he let me right in and showed me the engine, and it was just cool. I remembered that too. But I didn't get to break bread with them, but it was cool to have that experience too.
No, it's great, man. That's what the fire service is about, and you can't forget those things.
Absolutely. Chief, it was an absolute honor to talk to you. What a cool firehouse. What a cool story you had to tell. I mean,
thanks,
from Portland, to surviving cancer and your family and everything. It's really great to see you in this position. I'm looking to see how well you do here. I see big things happening.
Thanks, Frank. Thank you.
I really do.
And like I said, I paid him well.
Yeah, good. It was $1, so it's not really much.
He wants to go to Ken's Chop House. I don't know if you know what Ken's Chop House is. But.
Listen. Anything you'd like to add, Chief, before we get you off the hot seat? Anyone like to thank or anything you'd like to mention?
Just back home, all the people that have supported me in the fire department up there. I miss everybody. Love you guys, and the welcoming I got from down here from not only the department itself, but the area departments and people that have reached out. I can't thank you guys enough, and keep the faith, everybody. Times are tough, and keep the traditions alive, if I can speak.
Very important. Yeah, culture and tradition is what this show is all about.
No, and, do the right thing. Always step up and do the right thing, man. And, don't mess with the man. If you,
Right.
everybody knows it does his job, don't mess with the man. Do the right thing. Stand up. You know, do well by your bosses. Do well by the people that you work with. You know, we got a chain of command for a reason. You know?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, all those things. You know, it makes sense in the end, especially when you get to the end of your career. All the stuff makes sense.
Right.
And you know, don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself out of having a great career.
And you're a living proof of that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you in for checking PintheQ Productions, PintheQ Podcast. This episode will also be available on the audio podcast in your car, so you can listen on your way to work. And we'll be back soon. Take care.